Welcome to the Art of Dress. Today I'm happy to share with you the continuation and conclusion of hats. So thank you so much for coming and subscribing. Today, what I specifically wanted to show you is that something very interesting happens when a hat no longer has a full brim. So there are three specific kinds of hats that I want to look at. One is baseball caps. The second is berets, like you see here with Yasmin Gari. And the third thing is the kind of fantastical hats that you sometimes see on the runway, but maybe in real life also. So when you look at a hat like the one that Yasmin is wearing, you notice that it doesn't have a real brim. And when a hat doesn't have a brim, even if it has a partial brim like a baseball cap, then instead of being part of your style, your hat becomes part of your artistry. And that means that the qualities of form, of artistry, are what you're looking for when you're picking out this kind of hat. So let me remind you, what are the qualities of form for artistry and how does this work? As you remember, we have 4 artistries, and each of the artistries has qualities of form. And they share these qualities of form, but they only share one quality with each other artistry. So that becomes important because that means that as soon as you say 2 qualities, you have defined the artistry. So let's look at this for example. If you said architectural, and the 3 qualities of form for architectural, as you see here, are firmness, also flatness, 2-dimensionality, and filled in. But if I said, okay, if I have a hat that is flat and filled in, we don't even have to talk about the firmness, but flat and filled in. No other artistry has those qualities. Flatness is shared with Harmonic for sure, but Harmonic is open, not filled in. And filled in is shared with Composite, but Composite is 3-dimensional, not flat. So when you're looking at hats for the artistries, for your own artistry, if there's no brim, you don't need to worry about all the qualities. You don't need to worry about the relationship between brim and crown and all the other things we talked about. You still have to worry about the top of the hat if you can, but you can accomplish things in different ways, and you only need 2 of your 3 qualities. So as we go through, I'm going to remind you each time what are the qualities of form for each of the artistries that we're talking about, so you don't have to memorize this little diagram. But I'm also going to show you how the hats look so amazing on people when only 2 out of the 3 qualities are fulfilled. So let's start with baseball caps, and let's start with Joan Smalls. So as you can see, this is what's called a Mao cap in English, and this is really amazing for her. What does it have? So it has flatness. The most important quality is the flatness, and it has flatness on top, and it has flatness across the brim as well. And it also has a containedness. It's filled in. It's not open like a visor. So every architectural is going to look amazing in this kind of hat. This is actually the type of baseball cap that works absolutely best for architectural. Now let's move on to Harmonic. So a Harmonic can use a baseball cap in this kind of a way, like a visor. A Harmonic can also wear a regular baseball cap, but a visor is much better. Why is that? Okay, well, to start with, you still need the 2-dimensionality across, so a flat brim is important. If a harmonic is wearing a curved brim, it's never going to look as good because it is extremely difficult to get that flatness or straight line if you don't have it at this part of the hat for a baseball cap or a version of it, which is a visor. The second thing that you're getting is the openness across the top, and that openness of form is the second quality for the harmonic. And when this happens, when you have that straight line across the brow and the openness with the visor, you can even wear a very firm kind of fabric like you see here with Micah Donnelly. It's actually like a firm leather, but it looks amazing because she has the two qualities, flat across the brim and openness at the top of her head. In the case of the composite, I just want to show you that there's something going on here that really refers to another aspect of composite. So yes, you do have the containedness of the composite and the filled in quality because it's not open like a visor, and you also have the curvature. But if you remember, composite is also looking for remember that composite had a balanced makeup. So, and also composite is always looking for sort of not to emphasize the top of the head because composite doesn't accentuate the top of the head for composite styling. A composite is accentuating the torso. So this is why the shortness at the top is really important for composite, and then the curvature, the three-dimensionality curvature coming from the brim is what makes the composite baseball cap work. And this is also, in a certain way, that the harmonic with the visor is also bringing that emphasis down the head, so you're not accentuating the top at all. Architectural, it doesn't matter because architectural accentuates the head in their styling. But for composite and harmonic, you're really balancing these two. You are fulfilling the qualities of your form, but you're also maintaining that the emphasis doesn't go too high on your head, because that is really difficult for a harmonic or for composite, as we see here with Arlenis. And finally, when you come to sculptural, you're looking for the opposite. You want to emphasize the top of your head, as well as show the firmness that you're getting here by having the baseball cap fit so tightly, and then also the three-dimensionality of the curved brim. So the brim is really working in every case for the dimensionality. If it's a curved brim, it's showing three-dimensional, and if it's a flat brim, it's showing the straightness or the flatness, the two-dimensionality. Now, when you get into other kinds of hats, it's a little bit less restrictive in the sense, like you can mix it up in different ways, and let me show you some examples of that. So let's stay with sculptural for a second, and let me show you how a beret works for a sculptural, because a beret is by nature kind of soft. So how does it work if you're wearing a beret as a sculptural? So because the sculptural, as you know, is firm. So here what you see is the top of the head is still emphasized, and it's done because it fits all the way from the top of the head down to the hairline. And then you have the curvature coming at the hairline of the head. And so this way you're emphasizing the top of your head, and really that's a firm quality. Always, it's not gathered, it's not pleated, it's just emphasizing the top of the head, showing the firmness, and then the curvature at the hairline. Now in this sculptural example, here is Frida Gustafsson, also sculptural. Now the qualities that are being shown are, first of all, openness through the open weave of this. I think it's actually probably crocheted. And the second thing is the way that it stands up and shows the firmness in that sense. You're not actually getting the curvature as much here, but you are getting the firmness and the openness. And one more example with sculptural is this is a kind of a hat that's very difficult for anyone else to wear, because the curvature is so emphatic, the three-dimensionality, and it is very firm. So firm and three-dimensional, here you are, sculptural, and that's really hard for anyone else to pull this off. Now let's move on to composite, and here's Yasmin Ghauri with a composite beret. So in this case, the two qualities are shown as softness and filled in, because the curvature isn't so emphasized. You have kind of straightish lines, and across her brow is not all that curved, but what you are seeing is a very contained form, three-dimensional, filled in, contained form, and the softness of the fabric. That's just a very soft kind of beret. So soft and filled in for Yasmin Ghauri. So another example of composite. Now in this case, the softness is really emphasized, but you can't really tell. This might be a stocking cap. The filled in part isn't so clear, but what you have instead is very strong curvature. So soft and curved. And so again, composite. And now we move from composite to harmonic. So harmonic shares the softness, but instead of the curvature, harmonic is looking for straight lines, and usually that's for a harmonic, that's usually at the brow. And here you see a soft hat, really following the line of her head, but soft fabric, and then it's showing the straightness across. So two-dimensional or straight, and softness. So NeoSomali is wearing a beret, and this is one of the kinds of berets that a harmonic can get away with. And what you have happening here is you have the flatness happening through the way this is actually, this angled hat is showing flatness at the hairline here across her head. It's like an angled straight line coming across her face, and then it's curving softly at the top of her head, so it's not too flat up there. So she's getting the softness through the way it curves around her head. Soft. It's really a semi-soft kind of beret, but it's getting straightness through the angle across her face. Pretty good. And in this case, very reminiscent, that the angles across her face is actually emphasized with that row of the diamonds, those rhinestones perhaps, on the angle across her head, but showing the straightness. And then in this case, the softness is emphasized by the curvature of the fabric, weaving across in sort of this pattern at the top of her head. So really emphasizing the softness in that way. Gigi Hadid showing us another version of a harmonic hat without a brim. So here we have the half brim of the Admiral's cap, very, very related to a baseball cap, and it works actually very similarly, where you have the flatness, the straightness, both across the brim for the architectural here, and then also across the top. And it is, in fact, also filled in or contained. So in this case, you're getting all three of the artistry qualities. I love this picture of Joan Smalls, and this shows you what happens, how you can wear a hat as an architectural that curves around the hairline, because what you have is flatness across the top and firmness with the hat standing up. So flat, straight and firm. Yeah, flat or straight and firm. Now we move to the Fantastical. I just wanted to show you one example of the artistry qualities being used in Fantastical hats, and these are usually runway and couture, but hey, if you have the desire to do it in your everyday life, why not? So here's Frida Gustafsson showing us sculptural. So sculptural has the qualities, the 2 out of the 3 qualities that we're showing here are 3-dimensionality and openness. So the 3-dimensionality is very obvious. Not only is she showing the way her hair is turned into almost like a rounded sculpture, very 3-dimensional, but of course she's also emphasizing the top of her head. Her skull is clearly emphasized here, which is also something that the sculptural is always looking for. And then the pattern that's on there, I think this might be done with some kind of a netting, but look at how that's a motif and then open, and that goes all the way up her hair, so it's not a closed-in feeling, and it's reiterated in her necklace, the openness there, but really what you're seeing at the head is also this openness brought in by the pattern. So very interesting way of showing a 3-dimensional openness on a sculptural aspect. Now when you come to the example of composite, the 2 qualities out of 3 here are the softness that you're getting from the fur, and in addition to that, she is an air style, so even more so does this work for her because this is the kind of fur that particularly air styles like. But the softness of the fur also corresponds to her artistry, composite, and in addition to that, you're getting the containedness. No, not the containedness, the 3-dimensionality, yes. The 3-dimensionality you're seeing in that hat because it's very rounded and showing like just a lovely kind of, almost like a tube shape going up her head, but 3-dimensional and soft. So, composite. In the case of the NeoSomali, Harmonic, she is also soft. So this is the style, or the artistry that wears veils, because you have the softness and you have the openness. Because anything that's extended is showing you openness here, and or can be showing emphasis, so openness. So the 2 qualities for the harmonic that are being used here are open and soft. It's not actually showing you the straightness that you would be getting, that you could be using from harmonic. Instead, it's emphasizing the 2 other qualities, soft and open. And finally, in the case of Jordan Dunn, she is architectural. Such an interesting headpiece, so interesting. So definitely you're getting a straight line going up her head, you can see that straight, and you're also getting firmness because this headpiece is holding its shape. So straight or 2-dimensional and firm, and looks amazing. So there you have the three examples of the kind of hats. The Admiral's cap is a kind of a crossover between a beret type and a baseball cap. You have the baseball cap, which is used so often, and then you have the Fantastical kind of hat. And I just want to reiterate one more time, what's happening here is because you do not have a brim on even a knitted cap, if you have a turn-up, or if you even have like a stripe there, it's acting like a brim. And then you have a crown and a brim. And there are, of course, crossovers, like there's all kinds of things you can do. But what you're trying to figure out is whether or not you can use this as part of your artistry or part of your style. And so most of the time, if there's any kind, unless the brim is so soft, the turn-up is so soft that you don't even notice it, really what you're getting into when you have a hat with a brim is you're working with your style. But when you have a hat that's just the body of the hat, there's no real brim kicking in, now you're working with the qualities of artistry. So this was so fun for me to share and even to look into. So thank you very much for coming and sharing this with me today. And finally, we're ready to move on to color, and I'm looking forward to that. And so that will be the next video. So My website is also imminent. It's only a matter of days, so we'll see whether color goes up first or website, but one or the other is coming next, and I'm looking forward to doing that and seeing you again. So in the meantime, thank you for coming and subscribing, and please take care.